Everybody who comes to the public library is on a journey. For people who are experiencing homelessness, this is just one chapter of that journey. Homelessness in the District of Columbia for many years, when I first came here 8 years ago, had been on the rise. It became very apparent, it was very public, and the city began looking more closely at homelessness. I was hired to help the library system figure out how they can best meet the needs of people experiencing homelessness who spend the day in the public library. One of the ways we do that at the public library is to have available what I'm calling care kits. And these are just items that include socks and some shampoo, maybe toothpaste, a snack, now a mask and hand sanitizer for folks to be able to take with them. By offering something as simple as that really shows that the library is happy to have them in that space, and it's a place they can come for all different kinds of resources. The library, most importantly, has brought on individuals who themselves have been homeless. These folks are certified peer specialists through the Department of Behavioral Health. They've gone through training, and they have special expertise, not only lived experience, but then special trained expertise on how to engage with people experiencing homelessness and connect them to resources and use their own experience as a peer to show that recovery is possible, to show that moving out of homelessness is possible.
I know they started off here as one of their locations. They started off with us in Coffee and Conversation, which is a program we have where we invite customers who are normally not welcomed in the library. And after the program, we would invite them to speak with the peer if they were having any difficulty. And it worked out really well because I would announce if you're in between jobs, if you just got out of jail, we have people who've been through what you've been through, and they're here to help you get on the right road. I think people are surprised that there are people here to help them get back on the right track, and it's a free service. And they can meet them in a program with coffee, casually, to get to know them and feel comfortable telling their personal struggles with a stranger. That was an excellent way to introduce the peers to our customers through Coffee and Conversation.
I'd like to tell you about a couple of our peer navigators who do exceptional work. Jerome Thomas, he is a committed, passionate advocate. Jerome is someone who looks for opportunities and ways to share about the importance of peer work in the community. He's not only an advocate for his consumers, he's an advocate for peers.
We have a whole generation of people that we have to help. It's not going to be easy, it's going to take all of us. And I think people like myself have been in a situation that we know what it's like. We know what it feels like for people not to see you. We know what it feels like for people not to even want to get near you. I had to find hope again. I had completely lost hope through my addiction, through my homelessness. I didn't see any hope for me. Going to prison, it took a toll. During that time, I had to rewire myself in order to really get the value of what people were pouring into me. I hope that I put to use the best service I can produce. I'm like a social secretary, making appointments, making sure that clients keep their appointments, hitting them on their phone, text them, call them, you know, are you on your way? I try not to preach. I tell people what helped me. This is my story, and this is what got me through. This is how I faced that problem. This is how I see myself in 5 years, 15 years. Just to give them a glimpse of what they should or perhaps could do in order to get back on that path.
When I first met Jerome, like I said, I was a little apprehensive, but at the same time, I gave him a chance, and he was very endearing, very warm, and he was realistic. You know, he was blunt, straight to the point, and I appreciated that. And he was telling me the things that I needed to do to accomplish, to get to the next step. And I knew from there, I was like, okay, I have somebody that's serious, that's really committed to me, so I'll help him out and do what I have to do.
Renee Hines is another peer specialist here at DCPL. Renee has also been with us since the beginning She has a quiet way about her and making her connections with the customers who she meets with at the library. She is committed to getting people into housing. She really works hard to use all the tools to make that happen. Renee is particularly great at connecting with women who are experiencing homelessness and using her story of homelessness to show that she understands and it's possible to move out of homelessness. It's possible to get the mental health services you need and to have a full life.
You know, we usually have a meeting every Mondays and Thursday. We have our little meeting, get my day started by, if I have notes to catch up on, to catch up on my notes. And then we start seeing my clients. On a daily, I may have, it depends on where I am. Benning, it may be up to 10 a day. Here at MLK, maybe 3, 4 a day. When I first meet with a client, I try to find out what they need. You know, I can tell them what I think they should be doing, but I'm trying to find out what they need and how can I help them get to the point where they are comfortable in their process. Because I could say, well, you need mental health. They may not feel they need mental health. So first of all, you find out what the consumer is looking to do, where they're trying to go in their life. Before becoming a peer navigator, I went through 11 years using different drugs, experimenting per se, being incarcerated. I didn't become homeless while I was using. Then my life started falling apart. I couldn't pay the rent on my own. My rent was $1,400. I couldn't pay the rent. I was only getting Social Security. And after 17 years, I became a heroin addict and using opiates. And I did that for a year. Then I became homeless. And I lived in my car. I refused to go in a shelter. So one day I said, and I did this for about a year, and I said, 17 years of knowing what this life was, I am not going to go back and do heroin. That's crazy. So I chose to go back into a program. So I went back into a program, and this is where I was introduced to mental health for the first time in 30 years, and I needed that years ago. But I was introduced to mental health, and I went to the mental health program, and this is where I met the guy's name, Mother Neil, and Mother Neil said I would make an excellent peer. And all the young ladies would come to me with issues, so I became more of a mother, I guess, or someone they can talk to. And that's when I found out I just love to help people.
My experience with Renee came about after I moved back here from South Carolina. I never spent no adult years at home. You know, I explained to her, my past history of being raped and molested and everything and stuff, and me dealing with PTSD and anxiety and my depression, besides, health issues, so I had all that information for her, as well as my allowance that I was getting from Social Security Disability. She called me and she said, Habib, she said, I got a place for you. I said, really? She said, yeah, and, they want you to be there a certain time, in the morning and all of that. So I said, okay, great. I communicated with Calvary House, for homeless women's, and everything. And so they wouldn't let me bring my cat. So I said, okay, I got to find some place. Matter of fact, Miss Renee offered to take care of my cat for me, until I got my own place. And that was great. Like I said again, we stayed in contact sometime 2 or 3 times out, out of a week. And I told her I didn't want to bother, She said, but that's okay. That's all right. I want you to stay in touch with me, and everything and stuff. And I felt, that made me feel good.
A lot of people were surprised, is a nice word I use, when the library hired a social worker, because we're about books and information, but there really is a need. I mean, I know a lot of customers, particularly women, who come in and they're in domestic violence problems at home, and they just vent when they come in, but I can't do anything to help them, but I can let them know that we have a female peer who can help them with their personal struggles. So I didn't even know that this was a need we needed to fill in the community, but it works out perfectly.
Going to the library was, critical. Matter of fact, when I first started taking my PSATs, I came here to the Martin Luther King Library. The number one stigma that people have to get over is that everyone that's homeless is not on drugs. A lot of people that's homeless is usually financial. And due to the COVID and the government shutdown, a lot of programs were cut off. So a lot of people didn't have something to fall back on. They didn't have a safety net. So they had to deal with homelessness. So a lot of people that are homeless, they're not on drugs and they're not crazy. It's just people that were just caught up in a bad situation and they just needed, they needed help and it wasn't there at the time. My vision is I want to continue school with my building maintenance and start a stable career where I get to the point where I can build my own house with the tools and the tutelage that I have from school.
I'm no different than you. That's basically what I want to tell them. I was down, and if I can do this, you can do this too. It's hard, but it's not hard. You have to put your mind to it, and if something you want, you'll do anything you can to get what you want. You want a better life, you can have it. That's my testimony.
Let me say this. I learned a lot from the men and women that I work for. It keeps me grounded. It lets me know how blessed I am and what that second chance really looks like. And I hold myself as a model for them, that if I can do it, you can do it also. I think there's a lot still to be done, but I'm really happy at the trajectory that we're on. The fact that we're adding new programs and that we're rebooting other programs. It's important that this library is accessible in every way possible.
Everybody who comes to the public library is on a journey. For people who are experiencing homelessness, this is just one chapter of that journey. They might not know what's next, but the peers have helped them navigate housing, food, shelters, getting an ID, so that they can become and they can move forward in their journey.
Even when I talk to him on the phone, I still tell him, thank you. He'd be like, no, he was like, thank you, Mr. Hurst. I'm like, no, thank you, Mr. Thomas, because I was in a rough situation and you got me out into a better, greener pasture where now, I have a lot of positivity of how my living condition is going to be.
It's necessary to help our customers. No, it's not books, no, it's not computers, but helping them get on the right path because we're in the community just makes sense to me.